Hello, this is the big question here on Morning Kick Around. I'm Robert. He's Jason. Big question. Does the pro row plans and the first division plans coming out of USL, are they going to change the investment pattern for Americans that are in the market to invest in sports teams? You had a
Yes.
conversation that, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is going to be a little bit of inside the mind of a soccer investor, right? I brought some evidence to the table. It's a little show and tell from my other job on the radio that I thought would be good for us here on Morning Kick Around. I would also say that I think this could be framed as we're being a little greedy if we start to question why people like the guy I'm about to present isn't investing in American soccer and it's instead choosing to put his money in the English game, because it's not I know it's a sort of a there's always more that can be done, Rob. Like, you could always say there's not enough because there's more places that could use investment in order for soccer to happen. But it does feel like we're going through boom times when it comes to investment in American soccer. It's not as though nothing is happening. It's not as though it's a wasteland. There's teams popping up all over the place. If you go look at the expansion page for USL, Championship, League One, it is, that's a long list. Now, some of those projects are kind of, again, stalled out. Milwaukee, places like that haven't really gotten the momentum up, but it's not like we don't have any investment. It's just that I hear from somebody who's investing their money, an American investing their money in the English game, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah,
And I'm
don't be
not
going
sure
doing that.
I'm not saying like, oh, be patriotic, support American soccer first because it's your duty. I just wanted to know. So what I've got here is a clip from a conversation I had with a guy named Rob Kuig. Rob Kuig. He is from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's an attorney. He's been involved in sports investment in the past. You'll actually hear him talk about it a little bit. He owns a minor league baseball team in New Orleans. He went over to England. He bought Wickham Wanderers, which I believe is now in the championship, and recently sold Wickham Wanderers and now has invested in Reading FC, which is a historic club in England that has kind of been struggling for a while. They're in the championship now. So let's hear from Rob Kuig. You'll hear the question of me asking him why he's putting his money where he's putting it. Yeah. So, Rob, that leads me into a question. I promise you I'm not trying to gotcha here. I'm just curious. I'm an American soccer guy. As you can hear, I've grown up with this game in the United States, and as much as I appreciate English football and all of that, we are watching the sport grow here in America, and I think there might be people saying, hey, why is a guy like Rob Kuig spending money in England on Reading instead of investing in American soccer?
It's a great question, and I appreciate it, but it's a different thing. When I got in 5 or 6 years ago, my background, in addition to practicing law and owning some other businesses, I was a minor league baseball guy. We had one of the top franchises in America in New Orleans when we moved them from Denver, built our stadium and the like. And I saw the potential that occurred in minor league baseball in the 90s and the 2000s here in England, where valuations could go up pretty high pretty quickly if people approached it right. I thought that there was a chance to really change the model of how they did it. Really, my brother, who was a fantastic businessman, and I had that argument. He was a big Liverpool fan, season ticket holder, coming back and forth. I was not, and he told me you couldn't make money in English football because of the way they did it. And I said, here, hold my beer and let me show you. And so we saw it as an opportunity to get into a sport where we could have real ability to change how it was done, give people the entertainment that they needed, create value for ourselves and for the fans. And I didn't see that in American soccer. I'm a big fan of collegiate soccer, whether it's Georgetown or Wake Forest or Washington and Lee, where I have a couple of nephews playing. But that next level up, the economics never seem to work to me. And then major MLS, obviously, it's a good brand of soccer, but where is it if we're being dispassionate about it? It's somewhere high League One, low championship, or even middle championship. So it's not quite the same brand, and they have some peculiar rules as to how you invest in it. And truthfully, it takes a lot more money to own an American soccer team than it does one like this.
That is all right, Rob. There's Rob Kuig on why Reading and not American soccer. What did you take away from that?
Well, it was pretty damning. He, a man obviously resourced enough to purchase a thing as big and like inexpensive as a soccer team. It's pretty damning. He said, I just didn't see it in American soccer. I like watching college, but at high level, the economics never worked. So I'm curious, part of where I was thinking the framing of this big question here is he like at the tail end of that trend of Americans buying in, or is this just going to be constant regardless of the changes that USL is bringing in? Or will the pro rel in the first division have to be installed and embedded before this kind of attitude of the American trying to buy into soccer? Does it take the, proof in the pudding sort of a thing? Are they going to have to see the economics change? It seems like, because he said pretty bluntly there, I just didn't see the economics working in America.
He did not outline what specifically about the economics he thought was off in terms of investing in American soccer, right? He didn't say, well, because English football has this kind of way of owning a club, and in American soccer you have to buy a franchise or whatever it is. Or again, the way the leagues work. He didn't mention promotion and relegation, did he? Did he say the words promotion and relegation?
No, he didn't. That's what I'm saying. Is that outdated thinking? He was just operating like he looked into American club ownership, a couple years ago, and was like, that doesn't really make sense. Why invest this money? We're not going to go anywhere. And he just doesn't change that thinking yet.
My sense, and this is just me trying to read between the lines here, all right? And maybe we should reach out to Rob Kuig again to see if he'll talk about this in more depth in a different forum, because I was, doing a radio interview that was largely about Reading, and then I flipped it to that American soccer question at the end. But my sense is that it's more of it's a turnkey opportunity if you go in and buy Reading. Yeah, there's a baked in culture and fan base that all you have to do is activate. Not all you have to do. That's obviously not easy, and plenty of people have failed at that. But I think that's what it is, right? It's the idea of I go in, I buy the club, and if we get a little bit of success, Reading as a town will respond. My fan base is guaranteed as long as I'm putting a decent quality product on the field. And by the way, correcting me, I said championship. My apologies. Wycombe Wanderers and Reading, both League One teams right now. So we're talking third tier of English football. He is saying that, it seems to me that he is saying it's a lot of work to do an American soccer team. Now, you can buy an existing American soccer team, or you can invest in an existing American soccer team. But obviously, again, there is still a lot more work to be done to establish your fan base, hold on to your fan base, build the culture. When you're even in a smaller town, you're competing with other things. Like, we talked about this a lot, right? Some of these places that are having success driving big attendance numbers, NPSL, USL League One, they also have college football teams in town, right? They also have college basketball teams in town. And for all intents and purposes, I mean, now it's definitely true, but even 20 years ago and 15 years ago, college sports are pro sports in the sense that they are entertainment products that people can spend their money on. And then if they spend their money on the college basketball team or on the college football team, they might not be spending their money on the soccer club. Except in Reading, and I don't know, does Reading have a rugby team? What else are they competing with? I mean, I wonder if that's something that American soccer can ever overcome to attract guys like Rob Kuig into it. And again, it's not that there isn't investment. It's just that this is okay. Here's Mark. This is wisdom. No clubs in the UK make money. I think he bought a distressed asset with a well-respected academy after the last owner struggled to pay the bills. So it's cheaper. It is cheaper, right, to go in and buy Reading than it is to spend 15, 20, 30 million dollars to lift up an American soccer team, even at the lower levels.
Yeah, some people saying here in the chat a little bit more cynical outlook on this. Maybe he was just trying to hide his money in a different country. I mean, who's to say about that? And then Mark chiming in that no clubs in the UK make money. Then he bought a distressed asset with a well-respected academy after last owner paid the bills. That's kind of what you said. I looked up, does Reading have any competition in town? There is a significant rugby club, Reading
Yeah,
RFC in there.
yeah.
I don't know if those Venn diagrams necessarily overlap as much. There's definitely like rugby crowds and
Right.
soccer
But again,
crowds.
but even if you have a rugby club in town, it's not just the Venn diagrams, it's the culture of the town, it's the passing down of the fandom and all those things. And again, I think everybody believes that if you just do a little work, you're activating an existing fan base that maybe has drifted away or maybe isn't as engaged as they would have been. And if you climb the ladder, well, if you do a Wrexham, they're spending a ton of money. I mean, Wrexham had to bring in new investors in order to go up, but there's money there to be, and again, you can find ways. The value of the club in 3 years or 4 years is Rob Kuig going to be like, hey, Reading's worth twice as much as when I paid when I bought them. Let's sell them now, and he's out. And it is just about the economics of it, right? Rob Kuig. Now he talked about his kids playing at Washington and Lee, so he's got soccer connections. He's not his brother's a Liverpool fan and all that. It's not like he's not a soccer person on some level. But what I hear there is that's a business person who is looking for a way to make money out of soccer. And we kind of need those people to make the world go round. But I think there's always a question of like, hey, why are they doing what they're doing? And I wonder if at USL or Major League Soccer for that matter, although it's a different kettle of fish, if they are thinking, okay, why would an American owner, why would an American investor choose them over us or that over this?
And those people, hopefully, I'm curious what Mr. Rob Kuig's reputation is over in Wickham, because soccer teams over there are kind of just like a community asset that can be a money pit depending on the economics of it. Are you in it to try to like be an important part to help lift up the community, or are you only strictly there for the sale price to be more than the purchase price? And that's where I think there are some teams in danger in the lower reaches in England for people like that. It is just an ongoing thing that's in your community that's going to cost some money. You just almost, if you got to go into it knowing that you're going to lose some money over here, and that type of person that is strictly only for the money, that it does not turnkey in the United States, I think is the bottom line.
Again, this is we get into a beggars can't be choosers kind of mentality, right? Because when we talk about stadium building at the lower levels of American soccer, and this is certainly true of MLS too, but it's again, we're just talking about sort of like smaller communities getting soccer teams, which is what we want to see. Dot the map, put the pins in the map.
Yep.
When we talk about places trying to build stadiums, and we go, oh, well, that's a real estate play, right? It's a developer, that's an investor who sees an opportunity to get their hands on some land, potentially with some public backing, because they're going to spend money on infrastructure. The city's going to kick in, the county's going to kick in, the state's going to kick in. This is sort of free money for them. Those things kind of have to be there in order to convince people to invest in soccer teams, when historically soccer teams are money pits. It really doesn't matter where you are. Soccer teams are money pits, but especially when you're talking about the dicey nature of running a lower division soccer team in the United States of America. So can we be cynical and go, oh, that's a real estate play, and feel like that's the wrong way for someone to approach owning a soccer team? Or should we be saying, thank God for the real estate play, or otherwise there wouldn't be a soccer team, Rob?
I think that's kind of where we're living right now, somewhere in the minutia, and maybe even go on a specific, case by case basis. Like, we talked earlier in the show about Detroit City FC, worked for years to try to find a partner and land to make that all happen, because they want Detroit to have this thing that's a community asset for soccer, for the club, and for the people involved. But if the people are just there to create thing for X amount of dollars, at the end of the day, it seems reasonable. Like it's not turnkey at all. So an investor looking for strictly an investment can't be picky that they chose England over United States. So if this gentleman came into an American club scene with that outlook, it probably wouldn't last very long, because there's endless cases. Like in Lansing, there's a businessman thought that he could turn the Lansing Ignite into a money-making scheme. 1 year in, he lost a ton of money, and it disappeared like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and look, and I'm going to tie this back into something I did for the MK Ultras. If you want to become a member, you can get access to some extra bonus content. I did a little bit of a talk through of Peter Wilt's 2017 promotion relegation manifesto that he wrote for Howler magazine. And it's a long piece, and Peter is very detail oriented in it, and it is absolutely worth reading because there's no stone unturned. It's not like we should do pro rel. It's also it's there. He gets into the nitty gritty of how it can actually be done. And I think the argument where we are right now, particularly in lower division American soccer, is that pro rel becomes a differentiator. It becomes a way to encourage teams to stay the course, or at least maybe make the effort. And obviously it requires the right barrier of entry, which I think USL is trying to provide, particularly the League One level, right? It doesn't cost you $50 million to get into League One. I think what we're seeing is maybe pro rel is that thing that can create an environment where clubs like Lansing and Knight aren't one and done, two and done, three and done, and we can keep this thing moving because, again, we continue to salt the earth behind us when clubs come and go. You got to start over again. A fan who gave themselves over to a team that started and then disappeared, why are they going to come back? I mean, it's just different. Like we've got to find ways, and maybe pro rel is that thing.
Yeah, and dilly do. We'll see how this pans out and see if this paradigm shifts indeed.